So, so we are just waiting for a quorum. I know we have a quorum. Amy and Tim definitely confirmed, so that would be four.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, John.
Oh, let's see. We have one, two. So we're waiting for a quorum.
John, both Amy and Tim confirmed that they'd attend, so they may be
Right.
running a little late.
Yep. So we'll give them a couple minutes before we try to contact them. We have a relatively light agenda this evening and a heavy paperwork agenda. That time of year. Uh, let's see. And it looks like let me just see who texted me. So Anna is will be a few minutes late. So Cam, do you have anyone from other departments that sit in on selectmen meetings on a regular basis?
No, nobody really sits in regularly. I think, maybe if people are interested, they listen at a time of their convenience rather
Hmm.
than attending in person.
Hmm. No, because I mean, we appreciate your presence and insight. The question is whether we should reciprocate. Uh, and
No, for me, this is a learning curve. I've only been in the job a fairly short period, and I'm in attending meetings like yours and the Open Space Committee and the library trustees. I'm learning an aspect of the town that I wasn't at all familiar with before. So it's a great learning exercise.
Mm. Oh, evening, Amy. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are open for business. Welcome everyone to the December 3rd, 2025 Dover Conservation Commission hearing. We have a quorum, and currently I'll do a roll call for such quorum. Amy Mood,
Here.
Zyger,
Here.
Sarah,
Here.
and I'm here. We may have several commissioners come in a little bit later, and we'll have them add to that. In light of public meeting being held virtually, I'm going to read a quick snippet from the state government. This public meeting will be held virtually pursuant to Mass Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, which extends through June 30th, 2027, the ability of public bodies to meet in a fully remote manner. Tonight's meeting is being recorded on Zoom. And before we get started, I just would pose a question to anybody out there if there are any public comments anybody would like to make on things that are not on this evening's agenda. Okay, hearing none, we will pursue. We'll proceed with the agenda. So first up, we have is 62 Claybrook Road, a minor modification request. Janet, why don't you fill us in?
Sure. So I want to warn you, I am not feeling 100% tonight. So I may disappear, but hopefully I will be back if you don't hear from me. But I think we can get through what we need to vote on pretty quickly.
Okay, thank you for the heads up.
So this is an order of condition, minor modification. This was a new home. They put in a new yard, and there are have a number of invasive species on either side of the yard. They're requesting a minor modification to do invasive removal. I think it's very straightforward. I did have 3 comments. I would like to see their narrative revised just to identify what invasives are being removed. And then also a confirmation that all removal will be done by hand with no chemicals, herbicides. It's a relatively small area for the invasive removal, so I don't think that's a heavy lift to require it, that everything be done by hand. Also, I'm recommending that the invasive work be done by a professional, knowledgeable in invasive species management, just so they're not taking out good native plants along with the invasives. And then I had a question whether the applicant wanted to start replanting or just see what the regrowth is on the site. And I know John Glossa is here, who prepared the request, and Karen Skinner is also on, who's going to be overseeing the work.
Okay, great, thank you. So between John or Karen, who would like to address some of those concerns?
So I will speak first, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This is John Glossa. So the owner came to me, the builder, and talked about this remove these invasive species. He had a little sketch plan, and we put it on our plan, so it's to scale and that sort of stuff. And I did mention to him, and he's a good guy, but I said, hey, we need to hire someone. I'm just a guy who draws the plans. I mean, I know what bittersweet looks like, but that's about where it begins and ends. So I recommended, I said, you should probably get a hold of Karen and have her write up, what needs to be done. And he was kind of, oh no, Janet's all set with this. So I apologize, but I just did what my client said. And he's a good guy. I'm not knocking him, just saying this is what he thought would happen. He thought this would sort of fly through. And I think, from Janet's email from her comments. They're all fair comments. And I think we kind of lost a couple of months because Michael, didn't do what I asked. And so now, I'm more or less I can revise the plan as Janet and Karen asked me to, but this is something that's really in Karen's, um, uh, under
Mhm.
her expertise, not under my expertise. So,
Okay.
and Michael's out of state, and I don't see him here. So, but I think, we can take care of this, and we can do exactly what Janet asked us to do.
Okay, great. Thank you, John. So Karen, so it sounds like you were brought in after the fact on this
Yeah, so
or middle of the fact?
I just found out about this the other day, so I didn't have time to get the information ready for Janet. So if you could give us until next Wednesday, I'll have that done for you.
Well, why, I mean, we don't have a meeting for a while, but,
Oh, you don't,
you-
oh, so the next meeting, I'll have it done for the deadline for the next.
okay, so, and I don't, what's your, I mean, are you looking at doing this in the spring or what's the time frame for this?
So, probably in the spring, that would be the easiest
Okay,
time to
okay,
do
well
it.
then-
Yeah.
Okay, then,
Yeah.
why don't we, given all that, you'll be able to come back. So our next meeting, Janet, is,
It's the
December
17th.
17th, actually. So that, yeah, so yeah, if you can do it, yeah, so next week would be appropriate.
Okay.
We'd have that info and then we'll be able to review it before the meeting on the 17th.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Okay.
sounds fair. That's
Okay.
really fair. And as I said, everything Janet said, we're going to take care of that, get it on the plan, get it in a narrative, get all the procedures, whatever you need,
Mhm.
and then we can go forward. And at this point, it probably is a spring project. So,
Okay, excellent.
Okay.
Then we'll look forward to hearing from you next week or yeah, next week and the week after. Okay,
All right.
thank you much.
Sounds good. Thank
See you
you.
then. Okay.
Okay. Good night.
Deb, if you can just make sure that we have that on the agenda for the next meeting. Where is Deb?
Yep, will do.
Okay, oh,
No
there she is.
problem.
Okay, and next up we have 30 Mill Street, a COC, a certificate of compliance. And Janet, why don't you fill us in on that?
So this COC came before you already. I did a site inspection with the owner. Everything was done in compliance with the permit, except for the signs and bounds were not installed. So I met the owner on the site. We determined the locations for 3 signs and 2 bounds. She has had those installed. I confirmed that those were installed. So I'm recommending approval of this COC with the 4 permanent order of conditions, special conditions outlined in my report that are also in the order of conditions.
Okay, great. Is there any representative here this evening from them?
No, I don't see the
Okay.
owner here.
Okay. Oh, I think this is pretty cut and dried. I'll entertain a motion to, let's see, do we have to close the hearing for a COC?
No, you don't.
No. So I'll entertain a motion to grant the COC. Who would like to do that?
I'll move to grant the certificate of compliance.
With the 4 permanent
Oh,
conditions?
with the 4 permanent conditions,
Okay.
as Janet has mentioned.
Okay,
And I'll
Thank you.
second it.
thank you. All in favor? Zyger?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay. Next up, we have 21 Schaffner Lane, a discussion of the enforcement order status there. Janet mentioned that she hadn't heard anything, and Artie is here to help allay that concern. Janet, have you spoken to Artie before the meeting?
No, and Karen is the wetland professional overseeing the wetland work.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Well, why don't we, since Karen, I think why don't you tell us how you'd like to handle this? You want to fill us in, or do you want to move over to Artie for that, or?
Can I show the thing first?
Excuse me, just let me ask Karen. Okay.
No, Addie just can go ahead and speak.
Okay, Artie, so you want to fill us in on what's been done and what your intentions are moving forward?
Yeah, is it possible that I have the sharing screen so I can
I
share the
believe you
screen?
can. Yeah, let me, whoops, let me get out of that and, yep, you should have that. Is that working for you?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Guys, are you able to see the screen?
Yep, there we go. Adjusting it for older eyes. Appreciate it.
Okay, you good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's happening on this project is that we went in the field and we located the driveway, we located the house. Here is the septic system where it's currently located. Our field crew located the limit of disturbance. I'll zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it. So this is the limit of disturbance, and we even got elevations on the inside, so we would see what the difference is on elevation. And then on top of it, we also had our field crew locate the stumps that we found on the ground. You will see in here a 23-inch stump that is inside the wetland, 28-inch, 24-inch, 12-inch. Again, these are measured at the ground level, so
Mhm.
we don't know at the chest height what the size of the tree was. Because of the site conditions and because there was a stop work order, Karen wasn't able to identify the exact location of the wetlands. So what we ended up doing is that we contacted the Deb at Conservation Office to see if we can get hold of the old files. For some reason, they were not available. We couldn't find them. So Deb contacted GLM, who had done a plan in 2016 for this project. So what we did is we overlaid that wetland line where was according to 2016. So you will see in here, this would be the GLM flag number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this was 0, I'm assuming, or 15. Now, for clarity, what we also did is we traced from that plan where the record elevation 94 was, and up in here you can see where the record elevation 106 was. Let me go to the other screen. So this shows the overlay of the GLM plan or the 2011 plan that shows what was on the ground at the time. So as you can see in here, this is the wetland line, which we traced on our plan. And at the time, it was proposed, this was called a presentation plan that was provided. So I believe at that time was shown this kind of some kind of a wall in here. As you can see, it says proposed retaining wall.
Mhm.
There is no wall there now. But for clarity purposes, just so that everyone is on the same page, you can see this contour in here. This is the record. That's why we called it on our plan a record elevation 94. So the commission would have a feel of what actually has changed on the ground as far as the elevations. And up in here, we got the elevation 106. As you can see, there are contours in here between the wall and the edge of the woods, I'm assuming, that they had proposed contours. I don't know the extent of what actually got done in the field, or obviously there is no wall there now, but
Actually, if I can just interrupt a bit, Artie. Looking at the registry, there was it looks like there was a COC granted for for not doing any work. So none of the work that was proposed on that plan was done.
okay, yep.
Mhm.
And I'm stating that this wall that was proposed was not actually done. I mean, there is no
Mhm.
evidence of this wall on the ground. I have a
Mhm.
couple of pictures that I can share with the commission. So I just wanted to clarify what we were planning on doing as far as the wetlands were concerned, and I'm sure that Karen can elaborate more on why not. But so this would be the record wetland line. This was the record elevation 94, and this up in here was the record elevation 106. The plan that we prepared shows the actually 50-foot no disturbance according to today's standards, where the 50-foot no disturbance would be, 70-foot no structure line, and the 100-foot buffer, which would be on this area in here. Now, also, we have calculated the disturbance areas. As you know, the town of Dover now, when it comes down to disturbance, we have to satisfy Conservation Commission, but at the same time, we have to work with the town engineer, because whenever there is a disturbance more than 5,000 or up to 5,000 square feet, it triggers that he has to get involved also. So we are trying to use this plan for both purposes, because we have to satisfy the town engineer. So we did a quick calculation as saying the disturbed area inside the wetlands is 745 square feet, which would be this area inside here. And then the area between the 100-foot buffer and the wetland line would be 3,597 square feet. This is strictly disturbance. It doesn't mean that they filled it, but we have to use numbers, what's on the ground. So the total disturbance that we are talking about would be 4,342 square feet. That's what we determined based on the field location of the limit of disturbance. If I can show you the other, hold on a second. Stop share. For some reason, it's not letting me share the picture. Okay, yeah. Share. Okay, so can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay, so
Artie, before you go on there, did you have a chance to shoot elevations of the filled land as it stands now?
yes, that's what we did. So
Okay.
the contours so what we did is that we got the outside edges of the limit of disturbance, and we went inside and we got the elevation so that you could see how big of a pile or where the biggest amount would be. As you can see from this picture, this area in here on the front would be where most of this, you see how it's piled on this location? I can go back to the plan and you will see that this elevation in here is the highest, so is like a mound. So we wanted to show the commission what the difference was. So our guys in the field located the edges, and it's my understanding that Karen worked with Janet and the site contractor to install this erosion control barrier on the ground so that we can secure the site in meantime. Do you want me to go back at the screen?
I don't know if it's necessary. The question is, so my guess is you had what was your high elevation there? Was it 106 or something?
Yes.
And was any of this higher than 106?
1 second. So what's happening is that up in here where the driveway is located, the record elevation was 106. The ground elevation that we measured was 106. So we are very close to what was before. There is no fill on this area in here. But then as you go in the middle, that area, the knoll that you saw over there, so this is elevation almost 107. So down here was elevation 104, so that's
104. So it was still
so the 104 is down here, and the elevation that you have now, it's elevation 90. So anywhere from, the record elevation was 94. The ground
Mhm.
elevation now is 99. So you're talking about 5 feet.
And do you happen
Okay.
to just for the curiosity calculated a cubic yardage of how much fill?
No, we haven't done that calculation at
Okay.
this time, no.
Okay, so go ahead, carry on.
So our goal was to come up with a plan of how we're going to restore and what we're going to be doing and how we're going to be doing. But what we wanted to achieve from this meeting tonight to see, if the conservation is comfortable with this version as far as using the record wetlands, just because everything is filled now, and try to restore as much as possible of this area that has been damaged. And to the extent of proposing something new, will be something that we're going to need to discuss a little bit more with the homeowners. I don't know if, but my feel is that the concern that the commission had when this violation happened was item number one, we wanted to contain the disturbance so it doesn't, it's not any more detrimental to the site. So we put the erosion control barrier. We did do the survey. We had the hiccup as far as the wetlands because of the site conditions, but we have gone as far as we could go with the existing conditions plan. And now Karen will be working with a homeowner to kind of come up with a game plan as far as restoration and cleaning up the area. I'll coordinate with the town engineer as far as if he's going to be involved in this at all. I haven't had a chance to go over the plan with Mike, but we want conservation to feel that we didn't ignore their request. We've done everything that we could up to this point, and we hope to move forward and work with the commission to find a solution. And I'll leave it up to Karen.
And are you thinking, are you anticipating that since you're under 5,000 square feet, that you may be able to convince Mike not to be involved, or?
As you already know, Mike is a unique engineer, and he doesn't look at the things the way other people look at it. So I don't want to assume, but at least we want to show it and see if that works. If it is that he's willing to work with us and say, yeah, this is the concern is, what we are hoping is if we tell Mike that we are already working with Conservation Commission, he already has been at the site. So by talking to him before we even did the survey, the idea was move forward with doing the survey. Once you guys are ready to go forward with proposing stuff to conservation, let me know. So at this time, we feel that it would be easier for the homeowner if we didn't have to go through the engineering with Mike. But if Mike wants to get involved, want to be part of the process, then we'll do whatever needs to be done.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, he's, especially when things get steep, I know he likes to get involved, but this does seem to be a limited scope situation currently. But we will communicate, with him.
Well, the plan is to coordinate with everyone.
Yeah. Now, the question I have, Artie, Mass GIS showed a wetland spur going up towards the left there. Did you look at GIS relative to that and notice anything on the site?
Karen did the site inspection. I didn't. I went there yesterday to take pictures because we were not sure if Karen would make it tonight. So I wanted to at least have pictures. Nothing.
So your role in this so far has been the survey aspect of it. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
And
then why don't we switch over to Karen?
Okay.
And Karen, why don't you fill us in on from your perspective what we have in front of us?
So in answer to your question, it does spur up on the left. So I did go out to attempt to delineate the site, but I couldn't get through all the earth that was there, the material that was there. So I did flag that left-hand side because there wasn't any material there. And yes, it does spur up.
Okay.
So as Artie stated, you know, I haven't, we don't have a plan yet, obviously, for you, so we'll work with the owners and Janet and try to come up with a, plan that makes
Mhm.
everybody happy.
So what's the anticipation here? I mean, we're going into the winter. Are we stabilized enough with the erosion control to leave that as is until we get to, late winter and start to plan out what the process is, or do we need to have anything removed prior to that, or?
So there are two lines of erosion control. There's one at the, near the top of the slope, and then
Mhm.
one down closer to the wetlands with, at the edge of the material that needs, like, brought in. So
Mhm.
I think that the erosion control is adequate. It'll be fine.
For the winter.
Yeah.
Also keeping in mind that this ground is going to freeze. It's all newly
Yes.
disturbed. It will solidify.
Mhm.
Okay. And then have you discussed anything with the homeowner in terms of the restoration process?
Not as of yet. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So
Janet?
I haven't seen that plan that I already showed tonight, so I will take that to the, he'll probably send it to the owner, but
Mhm.
from there I can discuss it with them and work on this with Janet.
Okay. And one of the questions I have on all this is, uh, they did this for a reason, because they had a backyard that was unusable.
Mhm.
I don't know if they were aware that there had been a previous approval for some flat spot there. So I think if you could look into that and then suss out what it is we're making assumptions, suss out what
Yeah.
their new
So I
buyers.
believe they wanted to expand their yard. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
obviously there comes some constraints and nobody had expanded it for 30 years for a reason.
yeah.
So
I can confirm, John, that I did talk to the homeowner and she expressed that they did the work without knowing that there was any conservation jurisdiction on that area. So in their mind, they were just expanding the backyard without thinking that there was any wetlands. Now, obviously they want to do the right thing at this point, but they were surprised. And, one of the comments that they made was, we wish that the town had done a better job to inform us that there were wetlands there, and, the comment was, well, it's on the deed, so,
No, we pointed out that one would think if you hire an attorney for those sorts of transactions that when they run their title search, they would have brought things to their attention. That appears not to have happened. There's also we understand they're young, but when you go into a subdivision like that and it's clear nothing has happened for X number of years, there might be reasons behind it. Regardless of all that, we clearly
yes.
have started our education with them, and let's figure out a way to make this work. Okay.
Right now, they're still under shock, so I did
Yep.
speak with the owners yesterday. I said, okay, we're gonna have the meeting. Do you have was there some kind of a thinking that you're gonna put some kind of a wall, or what you were even doing there? So we're going back to conservation, we're gonna tell them that what you're gonna ask them to do. And she honestly said, I don't know at this point. We didn't even know we had to deal with conservation.
Mhm.
I don't know that even we're gonna propose to do anything at this point, but obviously we don't want to do the right thing. So I'm gonna leave it up to Karen and to do the talking and discuss it and see what options are available. But our plan will provide the commission with a copy of our plan that shows the existing conditions. And we're
Mhm.
showing the current setbacks as far as it's obvious where the no structure would be. The logic that the house is within that no structure setback, and I told them that might allow them to ask for a variance is if they decide to do anything, but it's up to the commission to approve any variances or anything that is within their
Mhm.
jurisdiction. So I think we are a little bit early on the process, but we hope that the commission can see that we did the right thing. We did the survey. We put the erosion control barriers. So it's not that the homeowners are neglecting it. At this point, they found out. It's just at this time, I think it's more of a how do we move forward, which is the best way forward, and
Well, I think
we'll have a better plan.
if you can convey to them that doing nothing will not be an option come the spring.
Of course.
There will be a restoration required. The question there is whether there is a restoration that can be thought ahead of time so
Yep.
that it may address some of their concerns, which the previous owners had addressed at one point with a filing, so that we don't run into this happening again.
Is there
Amy?
is there a possibility we can get that file that might be helpful?
Sure, we
I
can look
know-
at, we'll look up and see what we have. Deb, did we find that file or was that all from, I think I pulled it all up from filings that were,
Yeah,
at
that
the
that
registry.
is we
At the registry, I have it, but the actual plans and what was filed,
I think
it's
it
got,
looks
I
like,
believe it's in attic somewhere, you know, where you
Yeah,
sold the.
yeah, I think, well,
you.
it looks like you pulled up a GLM plan that showed the stone wall.
We requested from GLM, so we sent an email to GLM to see if they could provide us what they
Right.
had for the latest. And they
Mhm.
provided us with that plan
That
that was a
that
presentation
proposal.
plan. Yes.
Yeah, so that's that we can look up, but I believe you'll find an order of conditions that approve that plan.
Yep,
And then a COC recognizing that nothing was done on it.
agreed.
And so that's keep that in mind there. I have a
Yeah.
couple of hands up. So Amy?
Thanks. Artie, I was
Yes.
just wondering whether or not they knew that they had a conservation restriction on the back of their property. And if you could add that to your plans when you,
It is shown on our plans.
it is shown. Okay, I just
let
want
me
to make
see.
sure that they're very aware
Yeah,
of
so
that and that,
this is, so Amy, this is the full size of our plan. So in here, you will see that we have shown in bold.
you're not sharing
exist-
screen. It's okay.
Oh.
It's all right. I just wanted to make sure that everybody, that you and Karen both knew there was a CR on it and where the CR was so that you could make sure that the homeowner knows where the CR, I mean, the reason that we have a CR on so much of that development is because of the wetlands.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I was told that they were not aware of wetlands jurisdiction in there, so.
Well,
So I
if you
just wanna-
read
I
the
just-
CR, it talks all about the wetlands.
Yeah, I just want to
It's a little hard
reinforce.
to
The extent
grasp
of
that they didn't know what that there
Well,
was.
one of the things, Amy, I'd mentioned before, and this is something that I don't know how we get through to closing attorneys because there are so many, is that the original deed to this was loaded with all the easements. The deed to them was not. Now
It didn't have the CR in it.
I don't believe so. It was a very
that-
rudimentary, it did not have the history of easements that the previous deed into these folks had. So whoever
Right.
drew
I'll
up
go
the
look
deed,
at the deed, but
Yeah.
I'm surprised the CR wouldn't be referenced
Nope.
in it.
it was
I understand other easements.
Yeah, but
But
the
I'm just-
CR is shown on the record registry plan that. the-
Oh, it
the
is. Oh,
deed
no, there's no
holds
question.
it is-
My point, Artie, is in the frustration that I have here is with closing attorneys, okay? This is a young family. I don't know if this is their first house, second house, whatever. Whoever worked up the document, and whoever did title did not bring to their attention how loaded this was with easements. And they should have. So that's up to them to make any decision, but it's had nothing to do with the town. The town was responsible all the way through. Everything is on record. I got a picture of this. It took me around 15 minutes to see every easement that was on there and also recognize that this lot was the last lot to sell in that subdivision because of these issues. And that looking at Global Earth, nobody had touched these trees for 25 years. So there are a whole bunch of things there that we as the commission have knowledge about, but a closing attorney should have, at the very least, whoever drew up that deed for the seller, or if it was for if it was the buyer's attorney, they skipped a whole bunch of things that was on the previous deed. And so that's all I had to say on that. Janet, you had a question?
Yes, I just wanted to clarify next steps. So in the enforcement order, which was sent to Artie and the owner and to Karen, in the first one, we are looking for a written report. And I think your explanation of the wetland delineation should be in that report, that because of the site conditions, you could not confirm hydrology, soil conditions, or plant conditions. So you're going with this older map, and we'll be asking for the commission's approval on that. We also wanted documentation as to all disturbance, amount of fill, type of vegetation, tree removals, both species and size, and shown in both table form and then plotted on a site plan. So that's all in the order of conditions. So before we get into restoration, I think the next step would be to develop that report, submit Artie's site plan and your report, and then at another meeting, we would review that and then begin discussing restoration.
And I think one of the things to keep in mind is under some of that fill, you may find several other trees. So, we'll cross that when we get to it, but there'll be, assume that there are other trees there as you're dealing with your restoration numbers on that.
And I assume that Artie also saw, if you pulled up the plan that was referenced in their deed, that the wetland line is delineated on the plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
So what's happening is that registry plan is older, is from 1996. What we used is the plan that the commission has seen that is from 2001.
Yeah, I know, it's
the
just
more recent 2011 that is more recent.
the homeowner.
Oh yeah. Well, I understand.
No, I think what we see here is, and we've seen this before, but probably usually not quite as all conclusive here. People don't know what they have. The broker tells them that everything's fine. The attorney doesn't do their job. And then inexperienced homeowners decide to just go ahead willy-nilly without a plan, regardless whether there's wetlands. They just say, well, let's get some dirt in here and let's get going. And clearly not the appropriate way to do it. So let's with the expertise of Artie and Karen and guidance and so forth, we'll work on this and get this resolved sometime in the spring. So Janet,
I also I just wanted to mention that towards closer to the house, both John and I were at the site, and there is a significant new pile of fill that I don't think I saw on the site plan. We're talking about 10 to 15 feet of a contour difference up towards the house.
I think Artie showed that when we were talking about it earlier. He was talking about that elevation there. So you can see that peak right there. So that peak started, and then you can see as it goes down from there. So it's a 10-foot drop from the peak down to the 107 line or the 97 line, and 96 and so forth. So that's showing.
10 feet. And it used to be elevation 94 on the record plan. So
So you can see, which is very helpful that we had that plan that shows how far beyond it went, but it also shows how much higher it went with the can you bring that back, Artie? Just show the black plan, please. No, black plan, previous plan.
Black plan? Okay.
Okay. If you look at the contours as you go up from 98, 99, 100 and so forth, they're very close together. That's an indication of the steepness there. And that's what we saw, Janet. That's one big new hill in there.
Pile, yeah.
Okay.
And it starts off higher than what the driveway is. You can see at the 107. So Karen, do you have an ability as you walk around the right side of the house from the street to get a look at that other wetland that may be there?
The other wetland? So
So Artie, if you go up to where it says Lot 4A. Okay. If you come around that side of the house.
Okay,
and go
yes,
towards
yes.
the rear. And Artie, so if you can move that, and then down by the 50-foot line there. I believe Mass GIS is showing an extension of a wetland up there.
It is up there. Mhm.
Yeah, it gives you an ability to walk around there rather than having to, walk over the
Yes.
rubble.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
when you do have a chance to do that, that would help, that would aid you. Um, okay, Janet, what would you, at this point you discussed, we want to, when would you like that report that gives us, volume and other aspects that you outlined in the enforcement order? Janet? Oh, she
I
may have
think
left
she,
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we would need that by the 10th, but if this work is not going to, if the restoration isn't going to happen probably until the spring, you know, the filing deadline for the January 14th meeting is December 24th at 12 noon. So that would give
Okay.
you 4 weeks.
Okay. And Karen,
Yep.
why don't we get a narrative of
Mhm.
basically what we covered tonight so that we have something in writing for the file that outlines that, plus a copy of this plan. And that way it gives us a base to start from.
What was
Okay.
that next deadline for the January meeting, Janet?
Christmas.
24th, the day before Christmas.
Okay.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions? Artie, you can take the plan down.
Good.
Okay. Okay, then why don't we move this forward for our January meeting?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, we're finished tonight. That's great. Uh, so,
Thank you. Have a good night.
okay, night. Thank you. Okay, so we have a number of things up here. What I'd like to do is move the operating budget request just a little bit later so that we can go through some of these other things here. So
John,
yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
you're
know how much longer I'm going to last in
got
the,
it. Okay,
yeah,
understand. Thank you. Yep.
and the
Thanks
budget's
very much.
really critical that get
Okay.
approved tonight.
So the budget is relatively, once we take it all into consideration, is relatively cut and dried, and we sort of went over it. Janet, do you have any of those documents at hand that you could share with us?
I don't.
Okay.
Deb might have them because she was the one who sent them.
Well, but I'm not sure Deb's doing it from she may be doing this from a phone. I'm
Oh,
not sure.
okay.
So let me just pull out, actually on this one, in case I printed some things.
But just a quick summary. I think the plan is to have all of our line items, our expenses, our membership fees, our land management work, level funded. So the same numbers as last year. The two changes would be a change in my position, funding for my position, and a change in Deb's position. Deb's position is increased both for a step increase and also a cost of living. And that cost of living percentage number hasn't yet been set. I think the selectmen want to see what all the budgets come in at before they set the COLA. But so those are the two areas of a change that's going to increase our budget.
Mhm.
And I submitted my kind of long and winded memo, but I think it provides a lot of background information as to why my workload has increased, and then what the actual numbers are. So
Mhm.
I think the question is how I have put in an increase of 32,000. Currently, the budget is 88,000 for my fiscal year expenses. And as you saw the numbers, they're quite a bit higher. And if the comfort level is increasing it to 30, an additional 32, that brings us up to 120.
Mhm.
And my hope would be that with OpenGov, once we work out all the kinks, that is going to help streamline some of the permitting work. And I think there are some other cost savings. So that's why I put in the 120 for my professional services for FY27.
So I don't know if did commissioners have a chance to review any of the documents that Janet sent over? So I think as we discussed at our previous meeting, and I've mentioned this to to both warrant committee. Janet and I had a meeting with the warrant committee last week with the liaisons, and also I've spoken to the assistant town manager regarding this. And what we're asking for in this case here is going to appear like a jump. However, that's only because we have utilized internal transfers for the last 3 years. So this is going to show our actual true cost of consulting services. And I think, and Janet and I will work on, she sent a lovely 6-page explanation of what she does and what has happened over the years. We're going to see if we can condense that or see whether or not that may be the proper thing to get people's eyes to glaze over and then, get what we want. But I think one of the things there is, it's very comprehensive. It outlines, and one of the things we ran into with the warrant commission liaisons last week was, which we're not surprised, is some people have no idea what we do. So we outlined that I think that we presaged some of that which is what Janet probably helped Janet put her letter together. But I think she has this in the back of her mind all the time, and so I think we're just going to submit that. And if I have to, I'll be standing up in front of the warrant commission at some hearing, and we'll point out that we're really, in essence, level funding. We're just making public the money that we've had transferred over the last few years. And then we'll, as we are optimists, we will, hope that OpenGov will go ahead and do that. Questions I had, folks, because we're supposed to vote on this for an approval or a submission by December 8th. And we may be able to go ahead and do, if we review and we actually only have a few numbers to deal with. If we can then adjust that, because the final numbers aren't due until sometime after that, but it gets us on, on the board in terms of the ballpark area. We're looking at, I thought at our last discussion, and Janet, maybe if you're still with us, the trail maintenance, we had a $30,000 budget. And I think last meeting, we were talking about asking for $5,000 more. Does anybody recall that from the last hearing?
I think that was last year. When we talked at Trails, we were planning to propose level funding, but we did the increase last year and we have it this year and we're trying really hard to spend it.
So it's 35, or was it 30?
I think so.
Well,
Okay,
there are two budgets, but they are interrelated. One is trail maintenance for 30,000 a year, and then land management planning at 10,000 for a total of 40,000.
40,000. Okay, so so I think we got that extra 5 in land management because of the plans we were putting together.
Yeah.
And I think we have the flexibility for that. Other things we're looking at is recommendations for Deb is 47,841, which is I can't recall what it was for Lori, but I think that might be a little bit lower than where we were at with Lori. Because of where Deb came in on steps, but then we'll be adding a cost of living on top of that.
Actually, John, I'm sorry. That was last year's salary bottom line number.
So I'm looking at, let me just take a look here. I don't know why this is telling me it's, oh, okay. So I see it's, yeah. So we did have a submission, something written up that had FY 27. Did we have that sent out?
Yeah, I sent that along, and remember that Laurie's in what I sent, Laurie's grade level went up in June. That was approved in June 2025.
Of when?
2025. And
Okay.
she retired that next month, correct?
Okay, let me, I'm just pulling up
Yep,
something
let me
on my
see.
other screen. Let me just see what we have here. Okay, here we go. Oh, yeah, it's that large spreadsheet, which is very difficult to actually see. Let me see if I can go in a little bit more on this. Okay. So Deb, do you have that in front of you
Yeah,
by
that's
any
what
chance?
I'm going through right now.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so what I see for yours is we have a slight increase in hours over Lori, and we're looking, it looks like a total of 51,315.
yeah, and that number, yes, that's correct.
Okay, and is that assuming any COLA adjustment or anything like that, or
It
that's
doesn't assume COLA, but it does assume the step.
a different, okay, one
Yeah,
additional step? Okay.
yeah.
And so then what we're looking at is 51,315 for that.
Mhm.
Let's see what else we have.
And I think you will find that with that 2025 expense sheet, that when you combined, let's see here, you had a total budget request for 2026 for 191,970,
Right.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so I did not, perhaps I didn't count that brief period of time that Lori, was at that higher grade.
No, I wouldn't worry about that. I'm looking to so what I see is for the 20, it's let me turn my screen over. So for under the annual budget summary request, I see a salary request of 54,981.
Right.
And of that, there seems to be $3,000 that's outside of your salary. Is that for potential help with the minutes, or what is
Yeah,
that?
that's what that was.
Okay, okay, so that's in essence half of what it was last year.
Mhm.
Okay, that comes up to, and then we have that 54 plus, let's see,
I
90
would
would
just
be,
like to add, I think we should keep the minute um, expense amount the same from FY 26. I don't think we should reduce that because our past minutes keep accumulating.
Yeah.
well, so that's the question I have, which is I I'm assuming, so when you put together that spreadsheet, Deb, did
Yeah,
you cut that in half just but
I
with the
did.
optimistic assumption that you would be able to catch up?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And then when I did a little more research, and I found
Since
out
you,
that only 6 of those backlog minutes actually had associated YouTube cable recordings.
oh,
So
really?
for that, it
Really?
might mean it takes a little more time. That would
Oh,
mean I see some note, I see some pretty scant handwritten notes for most of them, but
hmm
I don't know if you folks would like that only. I think I sent one example.
So
Um,
since you've started, I think we
yes,
discussed at one point a goal of you doing minutes for meetings going forward. Have you had a chance to do that?
yes, I have.
Okay, so we can at
So
least keep
like
our,
for this evening, at the end of the night, I have my notes.
okay. That,
Okay.
well, it's good to, that's good to know. So we, so why don't we level fund what we had for last year and see how that goes, and we can and prior to a second or third meeting relative to the warrant committee, we can fine tune that number because we actually
Okay.
want to do something with it so that we can
Yeah.
catch up.
And so again, to answer your question, I did the research after I
After you did the proposal.
2 hours there.
Okay.
So that
Mhm.
wasn't too smart.
Okay, and then I wanted to I'm just seeing if I come up with the right number here. So what I see is on this, again, I'm looking at the FY27 that you sent us, which was the single sheet, not the big spreadsheet. And it had salaries was 54, 136,540. Was that including Janet at 120? Or is
No,
that at
it was,
88?
I don't.
Oh, no, the answer is
No,
no.
it doesn't.
No.
No,
Okay,
because
so-
that wasn't, yeah, that's right.
So my
Just-
main concern here is as I review all this is we have other forms that we just got sent to us to fill out properly, which I think once we have our numbers, we should be able to do easily. But so I have a 54,000 for Deb. I have 136,540, which brings us to a total of 191,521. My concern is that's not an accurate number. So can somebody fill me in on what the 136 is comprised of?
I think that was a level funded from the previous year without adding anything that the
Okay.
commission feels is appropriate.
So my question is, out of that, is that level funded including the fourth quarter transfer for paying you?
No.
Okay,
And that
so if I
that
take
gets complicated how we're going
okay,
to. Yeah.
if I take the 136,540 and I subtract your 88,000, which was what we funded last year, I end up with 48,540. If I take from that $40,000 for trail maintenance and land maintenance, I have 8540. And I think we have some supplies in there and things of that nature. So that what I'm seeing here is that this 191,521 probably does not incorporate the 32,000 that we were looking to request for to bring your total payments public. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so that what
John,
we're
I've got a quick question there.
Yeah.
Have you included the sort of ancillary consulting that Janet is doing for other departments in the town?
So that we have that in a narrative. The question there is basically the amount that we're looking for happens to coincide with roughly the amount that she has done for the other boards. And I think before I think Jan and I will work on that to fine tune that and make and sort of clarify them, probably have that as a separate sheet.
Right.
Part of her presentation.
Yeah, I would recommend you put it in separately to make it clear that this isn't the costs you're incurring, but the costs that other departments are sort of incurring as a result of Janet's services to them.
And I think that gives us
I think it makes it more
bite size.
transparent.
Yeah. So
Right.
Janet, what's your thought? Does that seem like a reasonable thing for us to work on?
It does. I don't track specifically those amounts, and I will say that as agent, I believe that work is Concom related and would fall
Okay.
under,
Okay.
Well, I think one of the questions I view this from my experience is that and I did it just the back of the envelope thing, reviewing Janet's invoices, and she breaks it down into particular job sites and things, and then she also has a number for when she's working with the town. I was surprised that it came so close to what that extra was. I think Jan and I can work on that. I think the concept of an agent, absolutely, this would be included. If we had a full-time agent, this would be included in their purview. As a consultant, then we could, if we didn't get the right budget, we could push back and say, well, you can't have our Janet because you're not paying for it. But I think it behooves the town because she's been very effective in that. So I think your concept of breaking it out so that we can show that, I think Jan and I can work on that and come up with a pretty good approximation there.
I think it serves you well to separate it out because it creates a transparency in the whole process and makes it clear that this isn't just some big massive money that you're spending, but this is in service to the town directly to the various departments.
Yeah, and I think it makes it more digestible, and yet it's true. Anna,
Yes.
you put your hand up?
Yeah, it's been up a little while, but the main thing is I just wanted to say that I think it's super important that we ask for the level of service. We pay Janet, we pay Deb. This is a lot of complicated work, especially now as we see more and more enforcement orders, and they're amazing and they should be paid for their amazing work. But also, if Janet takes a vacation or needs a sub for some reason, um, then whoever would come in needs to know what exactly is going on here. So
Mhm.
I think this is super important. That's all.
Yep. No, I appreciate it. And it's we've had a lot, and it's not reflected in our DEP numbers, which was a case that we made to warrant committee. And it's actually, especially in the last 8 months or so, it's increasingly has pulled me into additional time on the ground as well. It's just gotten busier, and it's not just because we're enforcing regulations. We just have people doing dumb things, and we also have we've had more 40B submissions, things that just require that may not actually go anywhere, but they require an awful lot of time and effort.
Yeah, that's not going to go away.
Yeah, to go through. No, that's only increasing. And so my main thing on this, as I looked at the easy form as I view it, which is a single page form that looks at our funding from last year and looks at level funding, is that the $191,000 that I see does not reflect Janet's 32,000. So I would say that what we're looking at, let me just add this on here. And we also pointed out that it has been a very busy 4 months with onboarding Deb, with getting all the online stuff going, and then doing this budget while we're trying to bring everyone up to speed and so forth, and we're getting additional requests for beyond our normal yearly paperwork for the said budget, that we're really busy. So I come up with a number of 223,521 that incorporates the 32,000. I think Cam's recommendation that we break that out relative to an approximation of the services Janet provides the town under our rubric, but are requested by the town and not done on a per homeowner basis. We had one of the warrant folks who's fairly new to things, and they come in with a finance background, and of course they did ask very similar questions that I've asked, which is, where can we save? How do we get there? And, what are our metrics and so forth? And the easiest metric I mentioned to him was looking at NOIs, and our NOIs have not changed. So much for the easy part. So we've Janet has expounded on that. I've added to that as well. We will clarify that in as we can pare that down a little bit for public, for general consumption and not take up an entire meeting. But I just wanted to bring up, so I would say our preliminary budget for the moment that we would vote on for tonight is actually to reflect properly Janet's additional request there is $223,521. Does everybody see how I got to that number?
Yes.
Because I know I kind of rambled through it.
Can we round it up to like 225?
Oh, I think they'll shoot us down on that. They
want it to
let's
be
be very
exactly-
specific.
No,
They do?
I like the idea of being specific because we
Okay.
have incorporated in that.
That's fine. That's fine.
Well, no, you know what? Actually, because that number has $3,500 pulled off of it based on Deb's discussion about getting the minutes. So I would say that we would bring that to 227.21. That gives us the $7,000 funding rather than $3,500 funding for the minutes. Do people see how that changes things? Okay,
Yep.
so I think this is an honest preliminary number that we will go ahead and fine tune. for the next iteration, but I think this is something that we should vote on for this evening, with the note that a large portion of that increase reflects Janet's funding increase that we believe is due to town services. How's that sound?
Fine.
Would anybody like to make that motion?
Amy.
So
And I can
moved.
give- well, there we go. So yeah, so move for $227,021 for FY 27, reflecting Janet's increase relative to becoming more transparent under town services. I hear a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Amy,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Zyga,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Is that Cam, does that seem appropriate for our preliminary basis there?
That sounds reasonable to me. The only thing is, I wouldn't call it an increase for Janet. I'd just say make them quite transparent what she has been doing for the town as well. It's not as though this is a sudden increase in fees to the town. It's that you've been covering that through other requests.
Right.
And,
That's what.
Yeah,
That's
I think
always
so.
been
I was going to say the
that's
same.
right.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
always
come-
been
we'll-
my bugaboo. Like we're
We'll-
always,
we'll-
it's a shell game.
yeah,
we'll wordsmith that so in light of transparency and town services, and show it as a separate number, but that it comes out of conservation, and hence the reflecting our true costs. So
exactly.
okay, great. Well, thank you, everyone. We're on our way there. Next, we're looking at well, actually, Janet, relative to your feelings this evening, is there anything that you want to bring up before you may have to leave?
No, I don't think so. So I think someone may ask the question, in the last 2 years, FY 25, my total expenses was 137. 2025, the actual was 127. So someone might ask, oh, are you increasing the budget enough? But I think it's a good compromise at 120.
No, and I think 120 puts us at a I asked for for conservation agents, where we still don't have all those numbers because the town is busy with other things. But generally out there, getting a conservation agent is around $100,000 a year, and that the benefit load for that is anywhere from 20 to 30,000, depending on their family situation, less 30%, so roughly 120. So we're basically requesting an amount of money that is similar to what it would be if we had a full-time agent. So that gives us, some parity there. We may not have the hours there, but we may have some certain levels of better expertise, certain, that may be different. But I think we're within the ballpark to substantiate that. And then the other things, we've and I guess the question there, Janet, would be something to discuss, in the near future, is if we move up to that, whether we review the contract and whether we look at something in terms of, whether that is a ceiling, or if there's, what our options are on a contractual basis dealing with that. And part of that might be to also break out what our proposed conservation expenses are versus what the town expense component of that would be. So I think that's worth a discussion, but I think we're in the ballpark for parity there relative to other options. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay. Anything else, Janet? Any in terms of your updates or anything like that?
Just for the budget, I think it makes sense to go ahead and approve it, subject to any further revisions that we receive back from the finance director.
Well, what we just voted on was our initial submission.
Okay,
So I think that's where, and then we can always address that once we get feedback.
okay. And let's see, the only other vote you need to take is on my November
Oh,
expenses.
Jesus. And I didn't even have a chance to load that up. How much was that?
A little over 13.
Okay. Which is honestly, given all the work that you've been putting in, a lot of that is town related relative to the OpenGov and things of that nature. But we should, did anybody have a chance to review that?
An exhausting list of
Yeah.
all the things that she does every month for our town.
Yeah. Let me just because I'm very
I
familiar.
scanned
Let me-
it, but I can't say
yeah,
I
let me just pull it up
analyzed it.
and
It
see if
looked pretty similar to most
Yep.
months. Lots.
Janet, do you know when you sent that out?
It was on November 29th at 3:48.
Oh, okay. November 20.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, her
Oh,
consultant.
yeah, review expenses. Got it.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so just to give people an idea, which sort of proves my statement that I was making off the cuff there. For non-applicant expenses, Janet was 92 hours. So in essence, on a 20-hour week, that was originally the concept. She put in 4 weeks worth of work and then some. So she was 78.20. That's on non-applicant expenses. That had a lot to do with onboarding, some site visits, but it just and then for her applicant expenses, so she was at 53.76, which is actually lower than her run rate has been because we actually had fewer things coming in front of us for applications. So all that tracks along with what we've just been talking about relative to our budget, so that we then have an invoice amount. And let me just take a look at things that see if there's and it's a series, and this is something. So of that $5,400, Cam, just to give you an idea, it's a series of things of like $361, $127. We have one which was the Old Farm Water Trust trying to put a new water line in. That was $1,000.
And I'm sorry, John, to interrupt. Cam, if you want, I can send you the email right now if you want.
These were also like complicated problems. Like the water trust one is like there was a ledge and this was unusual. And then the beaver deceiver was also almost $1,000. We don't usually do those.
So
yeah, I mean, I'm not decisive in your decision making. I'm just listening and learning. So you don't really need to pay a lot of attention
but I think
to me.
what I wanted to point out was that there are a number of separate individual invoices for things. Some of them are not very expensive, and yet they add up to $5,000 or $6,000 or generally $7,000 a month because they have to be dealt with. And some of them, frankly, on the Eversource water line are aggravating because the engineering company involved creates additional work because they don't seem to come up with actually the proper review things properly. And there are many other ways that they have not explored, and they're trying to save $1, and it comes out of our budget. So anyway, given all that, for a total of $13,430 upon my review of things, and certainly having worked with Janet on many of these things in the background, this tracks appropriately. So I will entertain a motion to approve her invoice for November in that amount. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Zyga?
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Anna,
Hi.
Amy,
Yay. Aye.
and I'm an aye.
Trustees.
Okay. Janet, that covers in terms of votes. Is there anything in terms of your report or other discussion things that you want to bring to our attention before you sign off?
Do we want to talk about trails really quickly?
Well, I do. Janet said that she wasn't feeling well, so I just wanted to see if there's anything that she wants to get in front of us before she signs off.
So there has been a 40B submittal at 43 Strawberry Hill. They're proposing 10 duplex townhouses. The town just got that. It involves a stream crossing, very extensive wetlands. So that'll be an NOI under just the state act. There's a site meeting next week, and I think they just wanted a staff person and the chair. John, you.
Yep. So I will be there. Question, Janet, and other commissioners. We had a few years ago, Artie was involved in this. Somebody was looking at a potential 40B up there. And we determined that there was a lot of filled land there. So
Yes.
that the actual soil testing was 3 feet lower than what the current grade was. Does anybody recall whether or not it was this property?
It is this property.
Mhm.
And they are using the 2017 line that Paul revised.
Oh, they are.
With
Oh,
Artie.
interesting. Okay. So I think
As
obviously
far
we
as
would,
as far as I can tell, based
I
on
think we
pulling
would,
up the
so
old
we would,
plans, because I'm going as open space chair.
yeah. So I think obviously we'll probably have Paul involved for review on that, but
But I believe they're
Yes.
starting with that line, but it
Mhm.
it's
Well, we'll
needs to
see.
be double checked because,
Mhm.
conditions change. There's been a lot of flooding and ground change in the water flow there during the time when the DLCT culvert was the culvert on the Blake Reservation was clogged.
Mhm.
Because this property is just upstream from that
Mhm.
stream. They're
Mhm.
also calling that stream intermittent, and I don't know for sure that it is.
Mhm.
So that is interesting, and I'll send out the documents on this so we can review.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
But the wetland professionals did identify it as perennial, but the whoever put the application together is calling it intermittent. So there's a conflict there.
Good.
Okay, I didn't look closely, I guess, enough on Artie and Paul's plans from 2017.
And do you have access to those plans? Well, actually, Amy, can you send those to Janet and me, please? And
Yep.
because I think they were very interesting because they did constrain access considerably, compared to the initial plans that were submitted. And it'd be good to have those when we're out on site. Okay. Other things, Janet?
The only other thing, a quick update on Zaga had noticed some tree removals at 5A Valley Road. I was out there today with the town engineer. We spoke to the homeowner. He said about 17 trees were taken down. He was very apologetic. He was sending me his arborist report, which I just got at about 6 o'clock. I haven't looked at it, but he had said his insurance company for safety issues had wanted a number of trees come down. I'm not sure if it was all 17 or not, but I was out there. I didn't see anything in a wetland resource area, but certainly some trees did come down in the buffer. So we can discuss that in more detail at our next meeting.
What about lot lines and the stormwater bylaw? Like,
Yes,
don't
so
we enforce?
Mike Angieri, the town engineer, was on site with me. So he was evaluating it for this chapter 159 application. And then lot lines, he said he would send me a map of where the trees were.
Okay,
So
sounds good.
it's an interesting point. So Craig Raft is working on a house on Taylor Lane, and we got some phone calls because some trees that came down, and it's fine. There's no wetlands in the area. What was very clear, they marked their setbacks, the sideline, front line, rear line setbacks, because of the stormwater. And so there were no trees that were touched within those setbacks. And that's just a very easy way to do it for
Sounds like it's
builders.
working.
And it just, yeah, and that's exactly the way, that was designed for. And Craig complied, and it was a non-issue. And that just makes it easy. So, we will bring
I believe that well, there's other developers that are not complying because
Oh, no, that's
Carol
why. So,
referenced what, $17,000 fine that's
that they have
applied
currently
to somebody.
a developer or
Yeah.
good. So,
Yeah.
um,
We don't.
so we should, I mean,
Taxes for
developers,
us, right? We'll just
developers
call
of
the
all people.
developers.
Yeah. So, we'll see. I mean, this will evolve. We'll see how this opens, as we move forward on that. Okay. Anything else, Janet?
No, that's it. Everything else can be continued to the next meeting.
Okay. Okay. Then why don't you, if you would like to sign off, and get better. And thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Okay.
Feel better.
Thank you.
And
I feel better.
so Anna, you said you had some land management updates?
Yeah, I didn't want to leave Janet out of that if she wanted to add anything. We met on the 21st. Let's see, what did we do? We've got 2 of our bog bridges done. So that's enough to get across the stream in Wildwoods, or 2/3 of the way to get across the stream in Springdale. So we're thinking we're going to
Oh, really?
organize a
Mhm.
bunch of people to get together and haul the bridges into Wildwoods, because that's actually looking like kind of a hike, and I'd rather do it when we have less snow and ice on the ground rather than more.
Mhm, mhm.
So that's next up, I think. We also talked about what our budget is for this year. So we're planning on doing benches and water mitigation on trails, and then we set aside 3,000 for the spring maintenance. So the idea was to hire local for someone to build benches, because Greg and I are not going to turn them out fast enough.
Mhm, mhm.
So if anybody has recommendations, we would love recommendations for who would do that.
Well, you can do, I mean, depending on how pretty you want, but local Boy Scouts always are looking for projects. So
That's good. We had that idea to contact the Boy Scouts and see if they were
yeah,
interested.
and
Yeah,
I can get you a couple contacts,
Great.
it's
Great.
fin fur and feather, but like if you wanted like the really nice ones at the rail trail on Medfield, I don't know who did those, but I
No,
No.
we're looking for like, you can sit on it and it lasts a little while. That's kind of, and we can carry it. That's kind of the goal.
So we think that the ones I showed you from
Yeah, those.
Red Wing, so those are really elegant. They're really simple,
Yeah.
and they're kind of cool, and they fulfill everything Anna just mentioned, and they're probably Boy Scout doable.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and
So,
then probably
yeah.
I think there's 1 or 2 at Powasset as well.
Yeah.
for
Sounds
that,
like
the same type, and
Mhm.
maybe putting some eyelets in, going out horizontally, and you could put a piece of rebar in or something like that, just to keep them secure. Not that anybody's running
that's a good
away,
idea.
but just in terms of wind and things like that.
Yeah, I like
So,
that.
Great. Thank you. I
Oh,
had a question.
one last thing on that.
Oh, yeah.
We're also thinking about bringing Bill back on for doing prioritizing the land, the properties. So taking in the open space plan, taking in our existing land management plans, and basically coming up with a list of stuff we should do next.
Mhm.
So we talked about that a few years ago, but think it's probably a better time now, especially if the rail trail is kicking up or might kick up.
Mhm.
Like what?
Mhm.
How do we want to prioritize? So that would probably be the biggest chunk of money. So we're
Mhm.
thinking about that if folks are interested. And if so, I can like write it up in more detail.
I think one of the things maybe just I was looking at land as I was prepping for the warrant meeting and so forth was in the things that we had purchased, and I mentioned to them how much they had no idea how much land conservation actually had. And
Yeah,
then
it's a lot.
yeah, and I put DLCT land and open space and then trustees and so forth. And as one of the things we had done a number of years ago was we bought a number of parcels for potential, I don't know if it's a word, contiguity, for the running trails that go through another property in
Yeah.
order to, to have a longer trail and to
Right.
and to see things. And I think this might be a good time to take a look at some of the things, not just within properties, but whether we have some options for for
Oh,
joint
I love that.
properties. And so I think we're maturing to that point where we can start to look at that, and especially things that may bring people closer to the rail trail.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what Rick's doing
For
on
open space.
the Ardrye to connect the Gould properties to the new tax taken ones to Sanger
Mhm.
and the right of way that runs from Sanger to the rail trail.
Good, good. So I think that's I think that's a pretty neat goal for us to sort of work on. Now that we've addressed many of the crossings, not that we won't have to continue to address crossings over time. Anything else, Anna?
Let's see. Greg found a stream in Wildwoods that needs a culvert, which means I believe we need to RDA ourselves. So I will have the pleasure of filling in the form.
Okay.
So that's probably one of our bigger projects coming up,
Good,
mostly because
and-
I actually haven't filled in this form before.
Well, what's nice about that is we do have much more enhanced flexibility than somebody like Mill Farm, for example, because it's we're doing trail maintenance, so we that makes it a little easier there. Let me think. Does anybody, Janet had on her thing, and I don't know if you know, Amy, Rail Trail 50% design plan. Have you heard any updates relative to that?
No, but Cam might.
No, I
Don't-
haven't.
No.
No,
No,
I
I was curious by that too, like when it
Yeah.
came up, yeah.
And I guess you're looking at possible hiring a consultant for a comprehensive housing plan.
Do you
Makes
think
sense.
do you think the 50% plan was the plan from the previous one and it means the 50% because it's just going from center of town to
I think it was half of their engineering plan. Like they were half of the way through proposing the project.
Yeah.
One,
I think it
one
makes
thing that they have been doing is to come up with a design and get that approved, and then they've got a firm basis on with which to contract work out. And I think that might be the approach that's being taken there.
And I think how it relates to us is that there was some it looks like some people over the years have created drainage ditches that go into the alongside the rail trail or the rail line currently.
the railroad did.
Yeah, railroad did a
Well,
lot of that.
no, it looks like there may have been, hate to say this, folks, could be some horse people out there, but this but
No, I think
the
the drainage ditches were actually
well, this comes out of
next
Wild
to the-
Woods, but no, they're great the way it's designed the rail line. I don't think the rail line designed them to go off property, so hundreds of feet there. But
Oh no.
however, when we dealt with we did go out at one point, or we
We
actually had
walked
some
it with Paul
Right.
yeah,
a
right.
years
remember
ago.
that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we had a presentation on it, and it's fascinating. The concept that they may be bringing to us is a sizable culvert that goes along one side because the right of way for the rail line is huge. It's a 200-foot wide right of way, and so the idea would be in areas that the current rail line, the berm, is actually fairly narrow. They would be putting a culvert along one side of that to direct this water where it's currently directed, but by doing that, it would allow them to widen the berm to be 8 or 10 feet wide and give you a larger, safer surface to work on.
Is this like by the McCoy? Is this on the way to from Channing Pond to Little Channing Pond?
I believe, well, no, actually, it's So it's on the Wildwood side of things, not the Farm Street side.
Okay.
It's and they'll come in front of us, but it's something that's very usual in other towns. We have not really run into it before, which is to take, in this case, it's kind of an artificially created stream, intermittent stream, for drainage purposes, and to encapsulate it, put it underground, and it works very, especially close to the city. They do it all the time. But it's an intriguing proposition that they showed us, and which also
And
gives them a
I mean,
wider trail.
I don't want to speak for the Hunt Club or for any other equestrian, but for me personally, one of the reasons I don't like riding through Wild Woods is because it's so wet. So if the water is getting drained, I think that's brilliant. I mean,
Well, I think, yeah, it looks like historically, it looks like Wildwoods has been a place where many citizens have taken it upon themselves to help out. And
yes.
I think,
And I know that right.
and
I mean,
so,
not from right. Yes.
yeah. So in this case, they've helped drain some of Wildwoods, and they've drained it into the trough alongside the rail line. This will incorporate that and give a bigger, wider surface for the rail trail. So it seems to be kind of a win-win for all parties. But I think I'm sort of reading into it, but that, for the engineering to come back to Concom, they're going to want to bring the areas of where they're doing either crossings or water management to our attention, so
As
that
long as,
we're
as long as
we're
it's hardened
prepped.
enough that horses can cross over it without
Oh, it will
stepping
be the same.
through.
It will be the same. It will be the same dense pack that they use for the stone,
At
that.
Midfield. Yeah.
But I
So,
think I'm just talking about if we're crossing into Wild Woods across the rail trail, but it's also, as long as it's also on the Wildwood side and not on the side with
Mhm.
the maintenance road, because the maintenance road is actually what we
no,
ride on.
that's your territory, and so I understand that. So no,
No touching that maintenance road.
so I think that no, the water's coming out of the uphill side of things, and the goal is to keep it there and run it
Okay.
down till it gets to another crossing. But it's fingers crossed. We'll see if we can get this done before 2030, and join the rest of the
Oh,
civilized
you're
world.
ambitious. I was
So
Yeah.
for
John, though,
2040.
what about, I mean, I'm curious just from a conservation perspective as well as an equestrian, the part that goes from Hunt Drive through
Mhm.
Farm Street, like behind the McCoy Lessers,
hmm So the big section, the main section of
the main section.
yeah.
I mean, are they still thinking about connecting that whole thing too? Or are they still just talking about the small from Hunt Drive to Center Street? I mean, not to Center Street, but to Springdale.
I don't know, actually. That's been a question.
You know what I mean? Like, so that's what
so
I don't know either. Like,
well, I always thought Hunt Drive to Springdale would incorporate the McCoy property, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So that's the
I
main
guess it
section.
does. Yeah.
Yeah. So the question really is, it sounds like, and most likely due to the fact, and can shed some light on this, but that this conceit that the town could consult with, could make an arrangement with the MBTA to only lease a portion of the rail trail that did not include a quarter mile on either end of it, and didn't have it continue on to other parts of the rail trail, that was not allowed. And so that
That is correct, John. I believe that is indeed the case.
Yeah.
And I think any proposal for the rail trail would connect into the other towns.
Right.
So it may have a temporary stop at the bridge, down by the end of center there.
Right.
But on the other,
Swim to
on the
the other
Medfield
rail.
side, on the Medfield side, again, similar to Wild Woods, either fairies or gnomes or or whatever have been maintaining that as a walkable trail all the way to Medfield, and so here's to the Celts, And so my sense is that that looks much easier to make that connect there. So we'll learn more as this proceeds, and we'll have some questions for it. Let's see. I think that's really what we have for tonight. So anybody have any other comments or things they want to bring to the commission's attention?
No, I think it's great that Cam's been kind of our interim or our guest Concom person. He was
No,
at
we've
our,
enjoyed it.
at our open space meeting last night, so I think it's
Wow.
I think
Wow.
I think it's awesome, Cam, that you're learning, but you're also, it gives us transparency too. So it's not like
Thanks, Sarah. I
look forward
really think it's a duty to understand what you guys are doing, and because otherwise, what's the point of having this liaison role? It's meaningless unless I understand what's going on. So I'm quite happy to do this.
Well, we're looking forward to 10 years from now when you decide to no longer be a selectman, to join one of those boards.
I'll be probably pushing up daisies by then, John.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for productive meeting, and hearing no objections, tonight's meeting is adjourned. Okay,
Good
night,
night.
everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Good
Night,
night,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye.